Driving for me is a stressful experience anyway, but that's probably because I've spent most of my time driving in Thailand.
Oh man!
Because I never actually drove so much in the UK because like I grew up in Brighton and then moved to London for my job. So I've never needed to be in a place where I drive frequently until I moved to Bangkok. And my God, driving in just Southeast Asia in general is just nothing like driving in Japan or driving in the UK or anything like. So let me describe what it is like driving in one of these kinds of countries. Okay, so in Thailand, we don't have road rules. We have road suggestions. That's kind of, so we technically have rules, but whether people follow them or not is up to the individual driver.
It's like a Mario Kart with like a lot more death.
Oh, it is basically. So like, you know how you change lanes? There's like a system, for example, changing lanes, right? You signal and then the person like
backs off.
Yeah, the person backs off, whatever, like whoever has the right of way. The right of way in Thailand goes, okay, we're going to play this game of chicken. Okay.
No.
So imagine I want to change lanes or someone else wants to change lane and there's a car just like behind them or like in the same lane. So the person's going to start changing lanes and either one person backs off or the person changing lane backs off or we're going to crash. And so there's no rule to say who has to back off.
Right.
So one of them is going to back off or you're going to crash. So it's basically who has the bigger balls to like not give way
Who's
or
gonna
give
be the
way.
bigger man,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Dude, it's wild. I think like Thailand looks scary. There's other countries that are even worse, I think. There's like, I think in Saudi Arabia, the number one cause of death is car accidents.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is crazy because I don't think any other country, it's even up there.
I mean, I went to the Philippines a couple of years ago to go to see Aki's family, and we had to drive through Manila. And that was one of the most terrifying things ever because not only is there no lanes and it's the same thing, like it's just whoever gets in there first, but there's also people just on the road, just in the middle of the road trying to cross.
The worst thing is like the people on the middle of the road who have just no fear of death.
Yeah.
And then motorcycles as well. Motorcycles are like the fucking like annoying housefly that you just can't like fucking swat away, but they're always there and you always need to be aware of them. Like driving in Bangkok, you just have to master Ultra Instinct. Every driver just needs to master Ultra Instinct.
You just have to be like Rain Man, basically.
They've all got their fucking nen turned on. That's why they can all drive, bro.
They got like the fucking observation haki like permanently turned on when you're driving.
It's not just a motorcycle either. It's like a motorcycle that's normally for like max 2 people that somehow have like 8 people on it. And I'm just like, what?
Like sometimes there's just a motorcycle and there's just like the entire family on the motorcycle plus
Dude,
the chauffeur as well.
It's like a clown car on a motorcycle.
That would stress me out so fucking much.
Like it's funny because Bangkok, living in Bangkok, you often take motorcycle taxis, even though in any other country you would not take it. And I describe Bangkok as like the only place I've been to in the world where I will willingly risk my life every day going on a motorcycle taxi so I can save myself from sitting in an hour of traffic.
Oh my God.
That's the kind of city it is during rush hour. And that's just given me a huge, I wouldn't say fear of driving, but just every time like I think about driving, it just gives me a cold sweat. Like, I gotta get back on that road, man.
Or you've just like perfected your like dodging techniques.
I mean, you got hit in the UK by some asshole.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was driving we have like a yearly house party where a lot of my friends in the UK catch up. And I was sitting in the car with Alan, my editor, Alan's girlfriend, Sydney, and Dee, Revel House. And so we were on like a country road. And we had just like, there was a car in front of us, so we just stopped. And I like did like a kind of like a sudden stop. Yeah. Because car in front of us like did a very quick stop. And then D was about to say, "Nice driving, Garnt." And as the sound was leaving his mouth, boom, a fucking car just like tail ends my car, and it fucking destroys my car.
Jesus.
And and like my car is fucking totaled, and the car in front of us has the audacity to be like, "Yo, this was your fault, by the way. When are you paying up?" And the car behind us was like, so during the interview when the police came, we called the police. We got everyone got like checked up in an ambulance, and apparently he was going like 60 or 70 down a country road, and he just had his eyes off the road. He was like, "Yeah, I just took my eyes off the road for a second, and who knew a car could creep up on me in 1 second? But,
dude, it's terrifying, the country roads. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I learned to drive in London, but I also drove a lot in Wales. But like, those roads in Wales are scary because they're all like thick trees,
Right.
and really tight roads, especially in like Wales, and probably in Devon as well, where we were near. Like, there's like fucking trucks coming all the time on these roads.
It's like a one-way road, or
It's two, but when you get the big trucks, it's like you kind of
might
have
as
to
well
like
be a one-way
stop
road,
and pull
yeah.
into a ditch, and
Yeah.
like so sometimes like you're going like, and they're normally 60 because they're national speed limit
60
roads.
miles, right?
miles per hour,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they'll just be like trucks coming, and you really have to like fucking pay
I
attention.
feel like truck drivers in every country are like
They don't give a fuck, because why would they? They win every time. Like, if I had rock that destroyed paper, of course I'm going to pick rock.
They're
and
like
fucking
they're
kill
like
everyone.
they're like the jocks in the school hallway, right? It's like you have to
Yeah.
move out of the way because they're not going to move.
yeah, I mean that was the only car crash I've been in, but there's been many close calls, as you can probably imagine, in Bangkok. Like the health and safety in Bangkok, especially on the roads, is very worrying.
How does an ambulance get to you? If you
I've wondered
On
that
a
exact.
motorcycle.
I've wondered that exact same question during rush
Motorcycle
hour.
fucking
Motorcycle
crash.
ambulance, get in the back.
You can. I guess you just gotta fucking bleed out on the road, right? Because what's even scarier, right, is the taxi drivers in Bangkok. Because it's such a roulette wheel. Okay, so for one, you'd expect one of the most dangerous cities to drive in to have a lot of like safety measures on the public transports, right? So most taxis, you go in the back and there's no seatbelts.
Great start. Great
course.
start.
Some of the closest near-death experiences I've had have been on a fucking taxi, because taxi drivers, they don't get paid the most as well, so they work ridiculously long hours. So I remember this one time I had a night out, and we stayed out till about like 3-4 a.m. Drinking at some izakaya in like Bangkok, whatever, and we had to go home. And so we get a taxi home, and the good thing about driving back home in like the middle of like 4 a.m. is it normally driving there takes 2 hours, but when there's no traffic, it takes 30 minutes. That's kind of like the time you add on when you don't factor in traffic.
Right.
But we get in. So it's me and Sydney, and we get in this taxi, and this guy just seems really quiet, and then we get to the highway, and he's doing like fucking 80 to 100 miles an hour on the freeway, right? And then Sydney's like asleep in the taxi. So it's just me, and it's complete silence. And then he just starts like swerving a bit. He just you know that thing where
when you wake up and you're like,
you're like whoa, and I'm like, okay, we could have crashed right there. So I asked him, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm completely good. I've just been out for like 36 hours. I'm like,
pull over right now. Pull over.
whoa, hold on a second. And to explain something about Thai culture, we have this thing called a Mai Pen Lai attitude, which the closest translation is like a daijoubu,
Yeah.
or like it's okay kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Which, it's great when you're on holiday, because the reason Thailand's so great when you're on holiday is because everyone's so relaxed, it's stress free.
Yeah.
But there are some situations where it's very not a Mai Pen Lai situation, and this was one of those situations.
Yeah.
So I'm asking him, are you okay? Are you sure you don't want to pull over? We can get another taxi. And he's like, Mai Pen Lai, and I'm like, bruh, this is a very not Mai Pen Lai situation right now that we're in.
I'd be next to him the whole time, like slapping his cheeks. Like,
No, I was literally in the back seat. No seatbelt, by the way. This taxi did not have a seatbelt, and this guy I told him to slow down, and he goes, "Okay, I'll slow down." So he goes from 100 miles an hour to 80 miles an hour. I'm like, bruh. Okay, like brilliant. But
Everything is not mine.
yeah. He's like my plan. And like every 5 minutes, he would just like, I could see him nodding off to be like,
dude, this is where you get in the front seat next to him, just stare at him, like, listen, like the fucking L, like just like fucking,
because like Bangkok has like a legit like a highway, so it's like an elevated highway. So I couldn't just tell him to stop and we get another taxi because we're in the middle of the fucking highway.
If you're in a fucking Japanese taxi, he'll stop on the highway. They don't give a fuck. They're crazy here.
Yeah. So basically, it was the most stressful half-hour ride I've ever been on. Sydney was like stress-free. She was asleep. She could have died in her sleep.
Sydney was the only one who was my
It's a good way to go. I mean,
yeah. And I was up like fucking pissed out of my mind at 4 a.m. being like, trying to have this conversation with this taxi driver. I was like, I was just trying to keep him awake, and he was telling me like, oh yeah, you know, I've got like 2 kids waiting for me at home, and I'm just like, dude, after this taxi drive, go home to your fucking kids. Just think about your kids.
Sleep, for fuck's sake.
Please, just think about your kids right now.